Other than praying for these children, what as a Catholic should I be doing? Job related, I feel like my hands are tied. We can't even let the parents know.
Kids in your school are going under the knife because of these so-called adults pushing them in that direction?
A lot of it, to me, sometimes I think is peer pressure, or they feel like to be taken seriously that they are transgender, they have to take that step.
This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Let's go to Jane now in Jacksonville, Illinois.
I work in schools, and it is becoming, very, very common for these children at very young ages in school to start trying to act like the opposite gender.
Really?
And we're not allowed to communicate this like outside of the school because we're supposed to observe all the privacy. And other than praying for these children, what as a Catholic should I be doing? Job related, I feel like my hands are tied. We can't even let the parents know if what they're acting like at school.
So reprehensible what they're doing. These so-called adults who are running these school districts, these so-called adults who are in positions of authority, the administrators and the teachers, and all of these people who are creating this web of deception to disenfranchise the parents in the most fundamental way of all. The parents are entrusting their children to you, and I don't mean just you personally, but they are to you. They're entrusting their children to you with the assumption that the kids are going to be protected and taught and nurtured and not be laboratory guinea pigs, which is what they're becoming now, where these so-called adults who are indeed maniacs, I'm not talking about you, Jane, you're a good person, you're on the good side of things, but these evil, reprehensible people who are just wreaking havoc on these innocent young children, and the parents, to the extent that they don't know that this is going on, it's heinous what they're doing by trying to deceive the parents. So my heartfelt reaction to your plight, and I'm 100% empathetic to you, would be I would hit the door running so fast, I would leave that job as fast as I could, because you are becoming morally compromised little by little. And I know you're a good person. I can hear it in your voice, and you want to do what's right. And you care about these children, and you know that it's wrong to deceive the parents the way these maniacs are doing. So I personally couldn't live in that world. Now, I realize it's easier said than done because you have to pay your rent and make your car payment. I know, I understand completely. But my thought, for your own sake, is if you can't fight City Hall, if you want to take the approach of that you're going to buck the system and tell the parents the truth and get fired for your trouble, I think that's heroic. And I would applaud you if you took a stand like that. But then again, not everybody is in a position to be able to do that. So it seems to me that the next best thing for you personally is, and what a shame too, because we need people like you in the schools. The quandary is, it sounds to me like they're tightening the screws more and more. And so for you to stay in that context and be a good teacher, they are requiring you to compromise your moral beliefs. And it comes a time when someone has to say, well, how long can I keep doing this if I have to if I have to deceive the parents, if I have to go along with this nonsense that's being foisted on the children? That's what I'm saying. For me personally, I'd leave as fast as I could. But at the same time, and I know there are people who are going to write to me, but Patrick, we need more people like Jane. I agree. It's just a quandary that it upsets me because I care about you and all the other teachers like you who want to do the right thing because you are good people, but these monsters are making it so difficult to the point of being impossible. I don't know if it's reached that point where you are yet, Jane.
I see all of the kids, but some of the teachers are comfortable enough to message the parents, say, are you aware that your daughter is wanting to be called by a boy's name or, that kind of thing. But I've seen so many of these kids who nothing is really done and they're pursuing the actual surgical routes.
Kids in your school are going under the knife because of these so-called adults pushing them in that direction?
I can't say the adults are pushing them. A lot of it, to me, sometimes I think is peer pressure, or they feel like to be taken seriously that they are transgender, they have to take that step. And it just seems like if there was an intervention at a younger age, some of this could be prevented. But I mean, they're even doing surgical, interventions at 12. I mean, I just don't know where it starts. And so I feel like there's times where, like, my hands are tied, and I'm listening to your advice and thinking, I'm in a mainstream school. I'm not in a Catholic school. I'm not in a Christian school. But I feel like we need the Catholic intervention in mainstream, but we're just prevented. So I guess my question was, morally, what's the advice? And like you said, is to just say, leave. And I hate to do that too, but it's just getting harder and harder to watch it happen, and it's so frequent. I mean,
I can only imagine. I'm not even sure I can imagine all of the ideological nonsense that must go on in so many of these schools. And for you to have to tolerate that, knowing how it's harming these children, it's infuriating. And the parents should be infuriated when they know about this. Now, you mentioned some teachers who are breaking the quote-unquote rule, and they're letting the parents know. What, if anything, happens to them when they do that? Nothing, as far as I can tell. And I think the approach that they have to take is more of presenting it as a question to the parent. Are you aware that this is happening? Or maybe kind of, giving a little story, alongside that maybe makes the parent think. We have other schools here that are state schools in our town that are like the deaf school and for the visually impaired. And my neighbor is a dorm parent at one of the schools, and they have been instructed also, because these children come here and are away from home. They stay here. They're residential, and they're not allowed to let parents know what's going on. They've been told. Yeah, it's reprehensible. It's utterly reprehensible. More parents who are listening to you are becoming aware of this. Parents, you're hearing what Jane is saying. Talk to your children. If they're at public school, don't assume that they're not getting a big heaping helping of this ideology. Talk to them. Ask them. Is anyone telling you that you can, if you're a girl, that you can be a boy, and vice versa? Probe, investigate, pick up the phone and call the teacher, call the principal. Make your presence felt. And this is one way, if enough parents do this, that teachers like Jane are going to be supported. You're a freedom fighter. You're behind enemy lines. You are doing what's right for the young people. So to the extent that you can be creative and successful and, dare I say it, not get caught, then I would say for as long as you can do that as a freedom fighter behind enemy lines, do that. But if it gets to the point where you're no longer able to justify, or they're asking you directly to compromise your beliefs, I think for me, that's where I would say I need to go get another job.
It's almost just implied. I mean, I guess no one has actually come to me and said, no, you cannot tell the parent. It's just in all of our meetings that we have, and, you're not supposed to divulge any information, so it's hard to watch. So I appreciate that advice, and I'll just keep doing what I can behind the scenes. So
I admire you, Jane. I really do. And I support you from a distance. You have my encouragement and my prayers. I'm sure a lot of people listening right now feel the same way. So hang in there.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Jane. Thank you. Like what you just heard? Share it with your family and friends. And thanks for listening.